Ladies and gentlemen, today is November 6th, 2014, and this is the KNKL Show, episode 200! Oh my gosh! Yes, that is right, we are on 200, episode 200 of this freaking show. Many moons ago, over 3 years ago, I started the KNKL Show on the fateful March 5th, 2011, and now we find ourselves here on the nice evening of the November month. And today I'm going to be talking about, it is Thoughtful Thursday, yes it is. I know some of you have been talking about how you don't like these, but you know what? I have a special message for you. I have a very special message for you, and we're going to get to that in a second. But the first thing that I need to get into is the title. And you'll notice immediately that I'm in a bit of a humbled state. I'm in a humbled state. Not only because I got owned, I was just playing some games and I got owned over the day and I got really pissed off. Right, so I'm kind of like in this mood where I'm like, I got a lot of emotions going around right now, okay? And so you'll notice that today is going to be very casual. I'm just going to kind of spill the beans and just kind of let you know exactly how I'm feeling and some things that I've learned over the last 200 dailies that I've made and over the last 3 years. And yeah, so let's go ahead and just get right into it. And the first thing I'm going to talk about is why I actually decided to start this show. A lot of you might have had the question, you might have asked yourself, hey, you know what? If this schmuck can make a show about art, I'll do it too. Or I can make a show way better than this guy. What's he doing telling me what to do? Why is he giving me life advice when he clearly doesn't know what the heck he's doing in his life? And I asked myself that same exact question. Why the heck am I telling you what to do when I'm still trying to figure out a bunch of stuff? But the real reason why I actually started the show, many of you know, was because I actually just wanted to get better at flapping my gums, flapping these things, using my speech, improving my vocabulary, and becoming more confident when it comes to giving public speeches. And just having that experience of hearing your own voice over and over and over again, like during the point where I was doing these every day, like that was a really cool point for me. But at the same time, I realized that, I needed to take a little bit of a break. And a recurring theme that I've been noticing over the last 2 years is that I've always needed to keep in mind where my priorities lie. Like, where are my priorities with the show, with my work, actually being able to stay alive and eat and make money and pay off my debts and all that good stuff, and the comic and the show, right? And basically, yeah, that's basically it. Okay, so on that fateful morning of March 5th, 2011, I decided to start doing the show. I decided to start shoutcasting art because many of you know one of my like shoutcasting god, I bow down and praise him, is Day 9. The reason why I even started the show is because of people like Day 9 shoutcasting StarCraft, and I wanted to do something like that, exactly like that. In fact, I just straight up copied him. I just made my own I even made like the logo and everything. I was KNKL and I was shoutcasting StarCraft with my old little crappy mic. Like I got the Blue Yeti now. The Blue Yeti's awesome. But back then I had like one of those old school, it must be like from the 90s or something, but like it has like the little base and it has that little stick and then the mic at the top of it. You know what I'm talking about. It's like a cylindrical mic. Probably cost about like $5, and basically I was recording on that. It had a ton of white noise. It was really crappy. But the point is, and here's the best part, is that this microphone is raised up, obviously. But that one could only get so high, and I had to, bend down to, get it, right? And I kind of stuck it on top of a cup. I took a cup, and I stuck the microphone on top of it, because it just, fit perfectly. So that way I could reach my mouth while I was talking, so I didn't have to, bend over and, shove it in my mouth. Anyway, and this show is for children. Yes, this is a PG-13 show, so we're not thinking dirty thoughts. Moving on. So, I started shoutcasting StarCraft, and that was a lot of fun because back then I was playing so much StarCraft 2 right when it came out. I played a little bit of StarCraft 1, nothing crazy, but yeah, I loved shoutcasting, and it was it was awesome. But I knew somewhere deep down inside that it wasn't exactly what I wanted to do because it was completely different from my art. It wasn't me getting to express myself or create anything. And I think a few people, back when I had 2 subscribers, they basically asked me, they're like, hey, is this just going to turn into another StarCraft 2 shoutcast channel? Because we like your art. That's the reason why we watch this channel, is because I did a couple time lapses back then, and people like that. So I thought about it, and I decided that I was going to change my show, and that I was going to shoutcast art. I was going to do time lapses. I was going to do live streams. I was going to do tutorials. And I noticed very quickly that basically that niche, like online tutorials on how to paint stuff, you can find anything like that. You can type in anything you want to learn to paint using Photoshop, or just basically anything. Any skill that you want to learn, you can now learn it on YouTube. Albeit some of the teachers are not that great, or some of the lessons aren't that fabulous, but the point is that you can do it. Right? So I asked myself, well, why am I going to do it? Well, what am I going to bring that's different to the table with these tutorials? And one thing that I noticed a lot of people weren't doing with these tutorials is that they actually never showed their face. They would talk a lot, and it was interesting to hear their voice. But do you ever notice when you just hear somebody's voice and you can't see them, how you automatically, you start to figure out, or you start to create an image of what they look like in your head? And so I thought, hey, it'd be really cool. Let's go ahead and okay. All right. So I'm gonna show you guys something that I'm working on, just to show you, hey, this is great that it worked out this way. This is great that it worked out this way, because I am actually working on the comic again. This is a preview for everybody, just so you know that I haven't given it up. This is going to be the start of issue 4. Woo! Aren't you glad you watched this now? Maybe, I don't know. But anyway, okay, so I thought, hey, that would be cool to have like a little face cam up here, so that people can actually see my expressions and get the tonality, and I can use my hands and talk with my hands and have a lot of fun. And because that was something that I was missing. I was missing that in a lot of these other tutorials. I wanted to know what these people looked like. I wanted to be able to relate to them. I wanted to feel like they were talking to me, right? I wanted them to be talking to me. So that's why I decided to do the face cam. And a lot of people really, really enjoyed it. And I love doing it too. I love being able to put myself out there. So let's go into a couple of the awesome things, a couple of the awesome lessons and skills that have come from actually doing the show, aside from just kind of gaining confidence with public speaking and all those other things. And actually, like, it's really funny. I say this a lot when I do the tutorials for you guys. I'm actually learning along with you. When I do those tutorials for you, I am cementing the things that I have learned over years into my skull, into my thick skull. They are there. And it is so nice to be able to teach, right? Because I'm sure you've heard the saying, the one who does the teaching learns the most. So that is why I really encourage you guys all the time. Hey, if you like what I'm doing, you should just do your own show. You should start your own show, because there's so many advantages to it, regardless if anybody watches it or not. Like, I was set to do this show. I was set to keep doing this show, whether anybody watched it or not, because I knew what it was doing for me. Anyway, okay. So, but the most interesting thing that has come about from me doing this, the work, like being behind a camera and just getting the confidence to stare it right in the face, even though it's not a human being, being able to like look at myself. Because sometimes, believe it or not, I actually will watch my own videos, right? I call it reviewing footage. I'm not a narcissist. I watch my own videos. I review footage. Okay? So I'll be watching myself and I'll be like, who's that guy? Who's that? He's pretty dang confident. Yeah, he's not bad looking either. Yeah, I like this guy. And it's really funny because when I see myself on the camera, basically on my show, I almost don't see it as me. I see it as something, it's like the person that's inside of me. Like, if you guys knew me in real life, you would probably be pretty, I don't want to use the word concerned, but maybe surprised, because I am a little bit different in real life. I'm a lot more kind of quiet, a little more reserved. I mean, I'll definitely have a conversation. I love talking to people and I love doing things, but like the animated parts of me, and just like, I'm definitely not this high energy all the time. So it's really interesting to watch myself and just be like, that is one sexy, confident dude, right? And because I've done that subconsciously, I've actually become very, very comfortable basically in my own skin, because it's like, whoa, that guy's awesome. And then I realize that person's me. And I know this sounds really funny. In fact, this sounds really conceited. But for those of you who understand what I'm getting at, you guys obviously understand. And I think that too often, and that's the second thing that I want to get into, is that one thing that I've learned kind of doing this thing is that so many people are very, not so much self-conscious, but they feel like they don't deserve to be able to like themselves. They feel like they don't deserve to look in the mirror and say, "What's up, good looking? How you doing?" Get up in the morning and just, like, even if you got a belly, like, I look myself straight in this mirror, even if I have a belly, and I'm just like, yeah, look at this belly, right? And I've told you guys about that, I think, a couple weeks ago. But doing the show and just being comfortable with myself has allowed me to do that. And I think that it's a really important thing for people to be able to just look at themselves, realize what they got, and just be okay with it. I think too often people are just in this, they're like, "Oh, well, I can't think highly of myself. I don't deserve that." Or, "Oh, that would be prideful. That would be narcissistic. It would be selfish," right? Love myself? No, never, right? But we've been taught that our whole lives. We've been taught our whole lives to not love ourselves because it's wrong. It's wrong to love yourself. So anyway, but and of course there's a spectrum that you can go on, but I believe that there is a problem with people too far on the left side of the spectrum, where they don't have any confidence. They don't even like themselves. They don't even know themselves. They don't even know who the heck they are or what they want. And some people go their whole lives not ever answering those questions. And they're scary questions, trust me. I know why people don't ask those questions to themselves, because they're freaking scary. Asking yourself who you are, what you want to do with your life, what you want to create, what you want to bring to the world, what you're capable of, those are like the scariest questions you could ever ask yourself. And that's why so many people never do. Okay, so doing the show has taught me that I do have value. I have something to bring to the world. And I don't need to, even though I'm super happy that I have over 10,000 subscribers now, it's been a goal that I've had up, forever. I'll be like, whoa, the day that I can have 10,000 subscribers. Wow, that would be so cool. And you know what happened the day that finally, the little number on YouTube finally hit 10,000? I didn't feel any different. If anything, I felt more afraid. Do you realize that? Like, it's so funny how once I actually attained my goal, I didn't get happy. I got scared. Like, I got really scared. And I found myself questioning, why do I deserve this? What did I do for this? I don't feel like I'm good enough to have people actually listen to what I say. And sometimes when people say they watch my show and like, "Oh, that talk that you gave on the seasons of life and how everybody goes through like these ups and downs, it totally just, it gave me hope. And then I realized I wasn't going to be sad forever. And then I got out of this thing and I'm like super happy and I'm like really enjoying it." When people come up to me and they say those things, I honestly get a little bit uncomfortable because it's still that conditioning. The conditioning I've been taught growing up is that, you're not important. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about you. And in some ways, that is true. But it's interesting. There's an interesting other side to it. Because a lot of people go through life thinking that they're entitled to people's affection, or that people should just treat them well because they're a human being, right? And I'm living and I'm breathing and I deserve to be treated with respect. I don't bring anything to the table, right? I don't offer value. I haven't created anything. I don't better the lives of anybody else. But you should still treat me the same as somebody else who does all those things, right? And that's another problem. But I'm not here to complain. We're here to talk about lessons. Okay, but anyway, when people say those things, it's really hard for me to accept compliments a lot of the time. It really is. But I've been getting better at it. I've been getting better at just when somebody says something really nice to me, I just say thank you, right? That's it. Like, thank you. I really appreciate that you would say something like that. That really means a lot. And so yeah, everybody that has been posting all the nice comments and all this stuff about the show, about how it's helped you, I'm really happy that my silly experiences and my thoughts can maybe trigger something in your brain that makes you see something a little bit differently and maybe move you in the direction to improve your life. All right, so let's talk about the next thing. Let's talk about the naysayers. Let's talk about the two trolls that I've ever gotten, right? First of all, I was really excited when I started the show. I was like, oh man, I can't wait till I get good enough. That way somebody goes in the comments and they say something really mean, right? Or they say something like, "You're dumb. What you're talking about is dumb. You don't even know. You don't know what it's like." Or, "This tutorial sucked," right? My friggin' 3rd grade art teacher could do this better than you. Silly things like that. And to be honest, first of all, like, I don't even read the YouTube comments myself. I actually have somebody else read them for me, and they bring the good ones to me. But, yeah, it's just like the trolls and, like, naysayers in life, right? I never really get angry at people that tell me that I can't do stuff, or that tell me what I'm doing sucks, or any of this stuff. And it's really for two reasons. And I really want you guys to understand this, because when you embark on an adventure to create something or to better your life, you are undoubtedly going to get people that tell you that you can't do it. You're undoubtedly going to get those people that say that, oh no, that plan's not going to work. I tried it and it didn't work for me, so yeah, it's not going to work for you. Or I have a buddy, right? That's a good story. I have a buddy that tried that exact same thing and it didn't work. Or even people in the professional field. Like, I've met a lot of awesome comic artists that tried to start their own thing. They tried to start their own thing and it didn't work for them. So I thought, oh man, if it didn't work for these guys, and they're like freaking top tier comic artists, if they can't make their own series, why the heck could I do it? How the heck am I going to do it? And I'll get into that in just a second. Why I think that my series has been a success where other people have failed or given up. But first of all, okay, so let's get to trolls. Okay, so trolls out there, I really do appreciate you. I appreciate that you guys say negative things, and I appreciate that you do that, because without you in the world trying to stop people from doing good things, without you in the world telling people that they suck, there would just be no resistance, right? There would be no resistance. It would be too easy. It would be too easy to get success. It'd be too easy to create things and be happy without the opposition coming from the other direction. Just as many, and here's the other interesting thing, is that the people that say all the nice things, in a way, they're just as bad. They're just as bad as the trolls. And the reason why is because both adoration and attacks, you can become a slave to. You can become a slave to the adoration of others, to the point where you're always feeding off of that. You need that positive feedback to make you feel good, just as easily as you will change yourself to avoid the negative people. And it's so funny how probably the biggest reoccurring, if I could sum up the biggest reoccurring lesson that I have seen in the last 2 years in one word, it would be this. It's balance. Balance in life, I really believe, is the absolute, like, basically where you want to get. Because like they say, too much of a good thing is a bad thing, right? And then if you're too low, if you're too far behind, you can't catch up. But you always want to find that balance. You want to find that balance of, emotions, of, friends, of experiences, and all this stuff, okay? So, and it's really hard to get into. But just keep it in mind. Keep in mind the word balance, and notice how it will start to appear in your life in different ways. Whether it's, with the food that you're eating, or like, right, the last time you showered, right? In my case, I really need to take a shower. I was actually considering shaving and showering before this, but I was like, you know what? Nah, I'm just gonna be real. I'm just gonna be real. This is real me talking. So, but anyway, okay. So let's move on to, so let's move into Emma, okay? Because 2 years to this date, I had the dream that I was going to make this bad boy right here, this lovely comic. This is my Emma-san, my lovely Emma-san. And basically, I want to say why I think that my comic was a success, whereas other people that I would deem the top tier talent in the comic industry tried to start their own things and it didn't work. And the reason why I think that my comic was successful is because of the way that I defined success. And that was that I didn't care about whether it was going to make money or not. I didn't care whether, I really didn't care whether I got like a huge deal off of it or like a movie deal or any of that stuff. Basically, my term of success, my definition of success was that I was just going to make it. And that's why it's successful, because my definition of success is that it exists. I'm successful. Yes. And the interesting thing that comes from that is because I had that goal in my mind, or that I deemed it successful as soon as I made it. Then all of a sudden, oh man, these awesome people start showing up at the Patreon. People start donating and helping out and pledging, and I get to send them awesome stuff like these, these Nico cards, and I get to come up with like cool ideas for like cards and merch that I get to send out every month to people around the world. People literally like living over in like Europe and Africa and like places that I've never been. I'd like to go, but it's like literally people from all over the world reading and enjoying the comic and then pledging like awesome people. And that's really awesome. It's really awesome. And the reason why I think that stuff happened was because I set a plan in motion, but I never actually needed it. I never actually needed to make money off of it. I really never did. And I never needed to make money off of the YouTube. You know, I'm still not, but I mean, it's like you could technically say I am by this being like advertisement for, to go to the Patreon because you click that little thing there. But there's a reason why there's not commercials before my shows. Is because I didn't give a crap. And plus, it's like I inconvenienced thousands of people just to get like freaking 30 cents at the end of the month from Google. Like I don't give a crap. I literally don't give a crap. So yeah, there's certain things in life that I believe you're really supposed to do just for the heck of it, just because you say you want to. And I really hope I'm not tangenting all over the place. I feel like I'm talking about a bunch of different stuff. And I honestly don't know how long this talk is going to go. But that's why I made my bullet points. I got my bullet points right here. Okay. So speaking of why, like, the comic has started producing some revenue, right? And that's awesome. It basically allows me to live here. It pays for my rent. It pays for my rent and it pays my utilities, which is freaking awesome. I say that Emma, pays my rent. Emma pays my rent, which is really nice of her, right? But the reason why I believe that this happens and why I always tell you guys that it's really important that you develop your skills is because I really believe that if you work on your skills, that they make a room for you. They make a life for you. And by that same token, if you hold back from the world what it could have gotten if you would have worked on yourself, if you would have developed your gifts and you would have created your story or done your masterpiece or changed the way somebody would have looked at something with a book or a speech or anything that has to do with you expressing yourself. Whatever you hold back from the world will also hold back from you. Another one of those interesting things is balance, right? It always must balance. So what you take back, it will take back as well. But what you give to the world, it'll always meet you. It always meets you, especially when you do like charitable things, right? But and often it happens just in the way that you feel immediately. You're immediately paid back. Like you can't give something and then not be paid back for it instantly, and in the future, right? Because what you give, I always like to think of this as like anything that I give, whether it's a skill or money or any sort of resources, it will always return to me as an investment because I have invested. I haven't given it away and it's gone. I know that I have invested it and it's going to come back to me. And that is just evident with everything that I've been experiencing. So, yeah, I really believe. Oh, and there's a really cool quote. I don't know who said this, but you might want to write this down in your journal. In your journals. Check this out. Blue Giraffe. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that awesome? This is an artist named Jen. Met her. See, isn't that weird? Like my love of blue giraffes. Like, I go to this convention and what is this chick painting? What is she painting? Like nothing other than blue giraffes. Like I don't know how stuff like that happens. I had a dream. I was like, I just want somebody to paint like weirdly colored animals, and then I meet somebody that does exactly that at a local con. Freaking awesome, huh? So, and I really believe. You ever notice how stuff like that happens? Sometimes you just kind of like you feel like you're riding this wave of energy, riding this wave of positive energy. It's just taking you to all these awesome experiences in life with the people you meet, the experiences that you get to partake in, and just all this cool stuff. And the reason why that is because. Oh yeah, and here's where the quote comes in. When you act upon your dreams, the world conspires in your favor. And that is, when you act upon your dreams, when you work on yourself, when you develop your gifts, doing exactly what you said you wanted to do, then the world conspires in your favor. It's almost like it starts hatching all these plans about how they can get you further, how they can push you along. And it'll also throw in challenges there. It'll throw in challenges of lessons that you have to learn in order to get to the final boss, You ever realize when you're playing a video game, they don't just chuck the final boss right at you. You got to go through all these rooms. You got to get all these upgrades. You got to have all these challenges and enemies that you fight along the way. I love that I'm doing a video game analogy. But at the end, right, the final goal, the thing that you've always wanted to get to, the very end, now that you have all these upgrades and the power-ups and all those challenges have taught you how to beat this boss, you know how to do it. You know how to do it, and then you escape the space station before it explodes, and you go off to another planet. Or you know what I mean. It was a Metroid joke. Okay, so moving on. Oh, all right. And okay, all right. So, do I really want to get into this? Yeah, I might as well. All right, so something that I kind of want to start wrapping up with. Again, I don't know how long this is going to go. I'm just going to keep railing on. I'm going to go on and on. But I remember when... It's really interesting because if you guys got the physical edition of the comic, if you look on the barcode right there, you'll notice that it says November 2012. And the reason why I put that there was because that's the month, 2 years ago, that was the month that I quit Riot Games. I quit working there. And the reason I quit there was because I was having the best time of my life, right? I had the dream job, everything I could have asked for, the coolest coworkers, and just all these awesome experiences. But at the end of the day, I found myself looking around asking, was that it? Was this the rest of my life? Was this what the rest of my life was going to be? You know, as much as I loved illustrating and drawing other people's characters, I knew that I had characters of my own that I needed to create, a story of my own that I needed to tell. So I decided that I was going to quit and give it a shot. You know, I saved up a little bit of money to go for a few months, and I said, hey, I'm just going to make the dang comic and see what happens. See if I like it. And since I left, I've never gone back to working in a studio again. And, you know, I've just done freelance. I don't know how it happened. And that's the thing. That's what I'm talking about. When I say the universe or the world conspires in your favor, I don't know how the heck I survived for 2 years, you know, like just working off of freelance stuff, because I'd get a job every now and then, you know, for a couple $1,000, you know, and that would keep me alive for, you know, just like the month and then the next month. And, you know, I was like borrowing against, you know, all these different things. And, you know, like my debt piled up very, very slowly to the point where like I was literally like over $10,000 in debt. And it's really interesting how stuff like that happens, but I still made it. And basically, it's really interesting how when you want something really bad, if you want something bad enough, like you will make it happen. You'll make it happen. And okay, so anyway, I remember the last day, right, when I went and signed all my paperwork and I was officially, you know, like I had officially quit. I remember the day I was walking out of there, you know, I was actually crying. I was really like, just really emotional, because I knew that it was an interesting, bittersweet feeling. I knew that I was leaving behind all of my friends. I mean, it's not like I'd never see them again, but, you know, my life was changing in a very, very drastic way. And so I was losing something. I was losing all of my experiences and my coworkers and the experience of working on an awesome game, you know, but at the same time, I knew that what I was doing was right. I knew that leaving my job to make the comic was exactly what I needed to do. I knew that was exactly what needed to happen. So I was just so like joyful and so excited about what was going to happen, and at the same time very sad. But I knew that, in fact, I had this vision when I was taken off. I saw myself climbing this mountain. I saw myself climbing the mountain, and one day I would be at the top, you know, waving at everybody, you know, down there, saying, "Hey, look, I got to the top of my mountain. I saw the thing," and I was like, "I'm gonna climb that." Some people said, "No, you can't do that. It's too rocky. It's too slippery." Or I know somebody that tried to climb that mountain and they died, right? But I was like, "Well, I don't care. That's my mountain. I'm gonna go climb it. You're either gonna see me at the top waving down or dead on the side, but I'm not coming back. I'm not coming back until I get to the top." And I really just kind of embodied that over the next few months. And I was just like going strong. Like at the beginning, I remember like I was on such like a high, like a natural high when I first started working on the comic. Like just my I don't know, like my reasons and my energy and my willpower, just everything was just off the charts. Everything was just over 100% for what I was doing. And I didn't know anything about creating websites. I didn't know anything. I'd never actually made a comic before, but I knew kind of how I was going to do it, but I just figured it all out. I figured out how am I going to name my URL something that I can really easily tell people about, and how can I do market research on, if this is even going to be a good comic to go into. Not that I really cared about that, but I did it anyway. And because I knew that there were other really popular zombie webcomics out there. So I just wanted to see how they ranked up on the Google search and phrase search and all that stuff. And I found an online tutorial. About how to create your own business, how to create a business from nothing and make a website. And it was really awesome. And those video tutorials were actually suggested to me years ago. Those video tutorials were suggested years ago, and I never acted upon it. I never actually watched them. But I knew that I really wanted to. I had a feeling that it was going to come in handy a lot later. Oh, and by the way, those videos were called the 30-Day Challenge. If you just Google 30-Day Challenge, those are the guys. I think they're out of Australia, actually. So they taught me how to make a website. Yeah. So it was really fun. And it was just really cool seeing it all come together. Even though the first website was super janky. It was so janky. But I still made it work. It's look, hey, here's the picture you click. You got to get here and then click here. And but this is part 1. It's only 10 pages at a time. And then I had to figure out how to get the little arrows. I was literally drawing up designs for how I could make the website work. And I was just on such I really felt like I had unlimited energy. I would get up in the morning and that was all I would think about. All I would think about is just making the site, making the comic, laying the 10 pages out, figuring out the story, hanging out with my buddies. We would be sitting down, and we like to smoke hookah every now and then. We'd be sitting down, kind of smoking hookah, talking about the story. So many of the ideas that are in Emma today came from my friends. There was not going to be any, the Marauders and the pirates, the friggin' biker pirates, those didn't even exist. Those didn't even exist before, much less Nico and Jack, who's coming up very soon. And I know you guys don't know who he is, but there's another character that's going to be introduced soon. And a lot of those things didn't come in until the very end. A lot of those things didn't come in until right before I quit. Originally, the comic was just going to be Emma, and it's hey, little girl versus zombies. Yeah, so chop their heads off and wander around and have an adventure and oh yeah, but what about other people? What about other characters? Don't worry about it. It's just this little girl running around, chopping heads off, and people are gonna love it. And very quickly I realized that wasn't gonna work, and mostly because my good friend John Boy Myers gave me the awesome advice that all good stories always involved at least 3 characters. 3 main characters and just their interactions with each other. So I took that up, made 2 more characters, and we've been good ever since. Even though the third main character hasn't even been introduced yet. But he will be awesome. He will be absolutely awesome. And he's coming up pretty soon. We should see him by the end of issue 4. Definitely, for sure. So, yeah, I just remember, just the energy that I had when I realized, I realized it was almost like I had my purpose in life. I found it. I found exactly what I wanted to do. And you realize that, wait a minute, you're saying that your purpose in life was to create a comic? You got your dream job and you were paid more money than you'd ever been paid in your life? You never had to worry about money again? And then you quit and realize that your real happiness was in making a comic that made no money? Sounds like it doesn't make sense, does it? But I remember those times. And, oh man, this brings up another awesome quote that I've heard. And the reason why I found my passion and I found my purpose is because Tony Robbins actually said this. I used to listen to him all the time, and I still listen to a lot of motivational speakers. And that's something I'll get into next, is that he says, in the realm of uncertainty is where your passion is found. Whenever you're in those areas of your life where you just don't know what the heck's going on, or you're out of your comfort zone, in those realms, you will find your purpose. You will find your true goals, and you'll find your happiness. You'll find the things that really mean the most to you. And you'll find your passion. And that was really, I had never felt passion like that before. And it was so awesome to just finally get that. And I knew that that would be my purpose. The rest of my life, I would create these things. I would create stories. I would create comics. And I would make the show. So I was really grateful about that. I really was. So, okay. So the other thing that I want to talk to you guys about is listening to positive messages. Too often I really feel that whenever I'm alone and I don't have anybody else talking to me, it's so easy to get bombarded with all these negative thoughts, all these negative statements about how you can't do it, or you don't deserve to do this, or that your drawing sucks, or your skills suck, or you'll never make it. But when you find somebody else to replace those voices for you, whether it's like an hour or so, just I literally have a playlist of a bunch of motivational speeches that I just listen to. I'll listen to them and I'll download them. Like I literally rip the sound off of YouTube. I know it's probably not legal, but I take the sound, I burn it onto a CD, and I'll take it into my car with me. I'm constantly listening to these things. I listen to more motivational talks than I do music now. And it's because I know how important it is that I keep those voices in my head, even if it's just subliminal. And it really does come out. I borrow that language. I borrow those statements. I borrow those quotes when I talk to you guys because I know what it's done for me. And I hope that maybe it can knock your pen cap off and maybe inspire you. Okay. So, positive messages are awesome. Okay. So, but the other thing that I realize is that willpower, going back to the comic and the show, willpower always runs out. Willpower will always run out. It doesn't matter how jazzed you are about something. It doesn't matter how much energy you have in the very beginning. Your willpower will always run dry. There's just like that boost. Treat it as though you're in a relationship and you're infatuated with each other. You're all on cloud 9, just kind of floating around with little birds and hearts floating around your head, right? But eventually that goes away, and then you have to settle into what is called real life. You kind of come back down to earth. You fall through the clouds and plant your feet firmly on the ground. But that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. A lot of people feel that something's wrong when they get to that. They're like, oh man, I used to be so passionate about this, and now I'm just not. Maybe I didn't choose the right thing after all. Maybe this isn't my dream. Maybe this is what I'm supposed to do. And then they'll slowly stop doing it. They'll kind of forget about it. They'll be like, oh yeah, I remember when I was making that comic. Yeah, it was good for a while, but I just kind of stopped. And then you ask them, well, how do you feel now that you stopped? They're like, I don't know. I'm just kind of dead inside. I just feel like I can't really ever be happy again. And the reason why I can relate to this is because I felt like this many, many times. In fact, I just got over feeling this way. Because I always told myself after I finished issue 3, I was going to take a little break. I was going to take a break from the comic. And I did. And I kind of got the business end in order. I got the show in order. I just felt like I needed to get my life together. And I found myself questioning if I wanted to continue it. If I could really give it up. If I could really stop doing it. And a lot of you know that I'm working actually for Riot again. I'm just working from home. I do concept art and visual update stuff for them. But now I get to do it from home, working for them, Utah, and they're in Santa Monica, which is really cool. But too often I realize that things tend to take priority over Emma. And I asked myself, look, if money wasn't an issue, if I had millions of dollars and I never had to worry about anything again, would I work for anybody else? Would I work for anybody? Or would I just always be working on the comic? And my answer is I would just be working on the comic. Because this is what gives me the most happiness. This is what really makes me believe that I'm living my purpose. I'm doing what I'm meant to do. And so then I asked myself, I wrote this down in my journal. I was like, well, if that's the way I feel, if creating my vision and creating the comic is number one, then how come it's not priority number one? How come it's not the first thing that I do when I get out of bed? Why is that? Why is it turned into this thing where it's like, oh, well, I'll get to it after I finish off all this other stuff, all this other work, right? I can still keep the same hours, right? If I'm worried about like pushing my other work too far, right? Like people obviously are relying on me to get things out. But what if I just got up a little bit earlier and just spent even just a couple hours on my passion, on the thing that I really want to do every day? Where would I be? Where would I be? Would I be a lot happier? And I found out the answer is yes. The answer is absolutely. Even if it's just like 10 minutes, like just get up and just like sketch, some Emma sketches for like 10 minutes and then go off to do my work for Riot or anybody else, freelance stuff. I found that it's making me a lot happier. And so that's what I want to kind of challenge you guys with, is that I know a lot of people will find these excuses saying that, oh, well, I need to provide for my family. Oh, I got this baby and I got a wife and my wife wouldn't let me start a comic, right? My wife wouldn't let me do that. Oh, my wife would kill me if I pursued my dream, right? But I want to challenge you guys that if basically you can keep the exact schedule that you have right now, but just figure out, first of all, what your priority one is. What is your priority one, right? And obviously I know it's your family and all that stuff, right? If you have family, but for yourself, find out what priority one is for you as yourself and what that dream is, what that thing you want to create is, and then just do a little bit of that in the very beginning of the day. And I think you'll find that you'll just go through the day a lot more relaxed. You'll go through it a lot more relaxed, a lot more confident, a lot more happy. And it's really interesting because it only takes, I literally spend a couple hours a day in the morning just working on the comic, just drawing things. It doesn't even matter. Just stuff that I want to do. And it's really been helping me out a lot. So, okay. So the last thing I want to wrap up with, man, this has been going for quite a while. Woo! It's been a long daily. A long 200th daily. And the thing I want to talk about is, the last thing I want to talk about is that, and I know I'm hearing you guys right now. I'm hearing you guys saying this. It's like, well, Keenan, I really want to live my dream and I want to do this stuff and I want to create this and I want to have that passion and excitement and happiness in my life. But what if everything you said isn't true? What if I just try my best and it's not enough? What if I quit my job and then I end up just being like some hobo on the street and I slowly die and waste away? And I find out that, it was just false hope, that I was just lucky. Like, that myself, I was just lucky and nobody else can do this. What then? What then? And to that, I would say, first of all, it's something that you have to see for yourself. It's not something that I can ever really fully explain or describe to you how it feels to just do what you want to do. But for me, the reason why I stuck by it, the reason why I stuck by building myself and improving my skills and doing the show and creating my story is because I knew that if that wasn't true, if it wasn't true that I could work on my gifts and they would make a room for me, or that I would figure out a way to get by, right? I would figure out a way to keep living, then I'd honestly rather die. I'd honestly rather not live in a world where I can't express myself. Any life that I can't create or serve or improve myself, if I can't figure out a way to make that happen, then I'd rather be dead. Because if I'm just going to be working some dead-end job, if I'm going to be a waiter at freaking Olive Garden for the rest of my life, then what the heck is the point? Why would I want to live a life like that? Never creating anything, And I'm not if you're a waiter, I'm not discounting what you're doing, right? But again, if you're good at waiting and that's your passion, then you freaking be the best waiter in the world. But that wasn't for me. Just settling for less than I knew I was capable of. That just wasn't an option for me. That was never going to be what my life was going to turn out to be. And so I decided that I was going to tell life how it was going to be. I was going to tell, no one was going to give me a life served up, being like, hey, here's how it is. Enjoy it, right? I was the one that said, no, I don't like it that way. I want it to be this way. And then I basically didn't settle for less. I didn't settle for less. And now it's like everything's finally, it just seems like things have come together to make it be that way for me. And I really am grateful. And I know that I still struggle. I still struggle with those feelings of, do I really deserve it? Do I really deserve it? And you guys have heard me say this before. But I really believe I do. I know that I deserve it because I worked hard for it. And I hope that you guys understand that you guys deserve it too. You guys deserve to be happy. You guys deserve to create what you want to create. And you guys deserve to design your life exactly the way that you want it to be. So I hope that this has helped you guys out. I want to say thank you guys so much for sticking around for 200 episodes. I'm really enjoying doing this. I can't wait to keep just doing the daily. I've slowed down. I'm only doing one a week now. I'll switch off between the tutorial and the thoughtful, but it's balanced for me. It's just, that's the way I like it, and it's going to stick it that way for now. And but I really just want to say thank you guys so much for being subscribers, for being supporters, and for enjoying the comic, enjoying the show. It's been really awesome. And I'm looking forward to making more of these for you guys. So you guys take care of yourselves. Till next time, stay good. Stay good looking. I'm watching you. You stay good looking. See you next time.